Yo guys! It's your friend here, bringing you another awesome Naruto What If tale. Today I'm gonna start a new series What FemQB gave Naruto the Ultimate Dojo Part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Not wasting no more time, let's begin. As he ran through the streets, a young boy made a sharp turn around the corner. He ran as fast as his little legs could carry him, trying to avoid the mobs who yelled for his death. Demon, come back here, we're going to finish what the fourth would have wanted us to, a civilian told him. The young blonde boy kept running until he reached a dead end. The boy backed up against the wall, terrified. Please don't hurt me. What did I do to you? He asked as some scoffed as he slammed the poor child into the wall. One man stood up. Did you murdered all of our loved ones, including our beloved Yandam, and you defiled our village with your presence, but that ends today, he said, punching the child in the face. This as more people crowded the area, the boy fell to the ground. The boy was mercilessly beaten while people cut, burned, and maimed his body. People only looked and did nothing in response to the blonde's cries. Even the shinobi chosen to protect him stood by and watched the scene unfold. People smiled and smirked as the blonde fell to the ground after the moment of torture. Now die like the demon you are, someone said. As everyone nodded, as the clouds began to darken, the people began to depart. As the blonde was left in the alleyway, the rain began to fall as they looked at his nearly lifeless body. One person shunned next to him. It seems like they're getting rougher with him every day, the person said as she picked the child and shined out of sight. The Hokage mansion. As the night passed, Sarutobi was in his office working on paperwork. As the man stood up, a shinobi appeared in front of him. Hokage-sama, the man said to him, signaling his presence. Sarutobi raised his head to see the man, who smiled as he looked at the small boy in the man's arms. His smile faded to complete shock and sadness. Naruto-kan, he yelled as he threw him to the ground as his hat covered his eyes. His eyes were barred by unbelievable rage. Get the medical corps in here right now, and if they're even a second late, tell them I'll be interrogating Ibiki for the next 3 years, Sarutobi told the shinobi as he moved out of the Hokage site. Said shinobi nodded. Sarutobi stared at the child, who soon began to cry. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, if it hadn't been for that stupid council meeting, I would have been able to stop this. Obi apologized to the unconscious boy. Naruto's mental landscape. A body was waking up in a place that resembled the sewers, staring at the large bars across from him. Naruto looked up to see a piece of paper with the word seal written on it in the center. He whimpered slightly but soon heard someone cry. Naruto looked around, trying to locate the source of the noise. Naruto quickly stood up when he heard a noise coming from inside the cage. Is there anyone there? Naruto inquired. He decided to satisfy his curiosity by remaining silent. Naruto walked past the bars deeper into the unknown. As Naruto approached her, he noticed a red-haired woman on her knees, crying in her soft-looking hands. Are you okay? Naruto inquired. Soon after, the woman noticed her tenant staring at her. Her eyes welled up as she clutched him. Naruto was taken aback by the action, but he quickly recovered as he listened to her gentle words and sorry. She apologized. Naruto embraced her as tears streamed down her cheeks. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, she said again as he continued to hug her. Naruto felt sad for her. It's okay, what's the matter and why are you crying? Naruto inquired. After a while, the woman appeared to calm down as she rubbed the tears from her puffy red eyes. I am the reason you are hated. I am the reason those damn villagers did such horrible things to you, she continued. Naruto looked at her, too kind to be angry with her. It's fine, Naruto said, but why did they attack me? The woman fixed her gaze on him. I didn't want to do it, but I was manipulated. I am the Kyuubi no Yoko. I attacked Konoha inadvertently. I am the queen of the demons who your father sealed inside me, she explained. Naruto's pupils constricted as he gazed at her. What do you mean you are duped? He asked as she looked at him. Kyuubi sighed. I don't even remember. I was sleeping peacefully in my den, and the next thing I know, I see a red-looking eye, and then I hear the screams of people in your village, and then I end up here, she told him. Naruto looked at her and hugged her again, surprising the demon queen. It's not your fault, Q. Yubai-chan, you didn't know what you were doing. I can only blame this village and the bastard who did this to you, the young blonde said steelily. Yubai looked at him with a barely visible blush on her face. Are you sure you're not mad at me? She inquired as he sat next to her. Naruto smiled. No way, see you. Yubai-chan, I can't and won't hate you for things that are out of your control. I heard many stories about you being a violent beast, but it appears that not everything is as it seems, Naruto said. Yubai nodded, her breathing appearing to slow. Yubai leaned on his small shoulder, emotionally exhausted. Naruto managed to hold back a blush as he examined her body. She was a lovely lady with an hourglass figure. She was dressed in a black kimono with red stripes down the center. Her hair was quite long, reaching her shoulders. Her breasts were a size D. Overall, she was the type of woman that all guys would die for. Do you think you could help me kill Yubai-chan? Naruto inquired as she looked at him. Yubai, his ears perked up. Are you kidding? You're forgiving me so easily and you just met me. What can I do for you? She asked. Naruto smiled as he took a breath. I want you to help me become a great shinobi. I want to be able to protect you and me from any harm that anyone tries to inflict on us, Naruto said firmly. Yubai stared at him blankly at first but soon burst out laughing as her slitted eyes caught his gaze. All right, Naruto-kun, you can have my assistance. I will turn you into a great shinobi, even more powerful than the fourth, but you will have to work hard at it and no complaining, she told him. Naruto looked at her surprised. Naruto smiled as he collided with her chest. Thank you, Yubai-chan. I am grateful to have such a wonderful friend. I promise to work hard for you and me, Naruto said to H. Yubai nodded, rubbing his blonde hair. All right, we'll start tomorrow, but you should wake up right now. We'll keep in touch telepathically, she said to him. Naruto closed his eyes and nodded. Naruto quickly awoke when he saw himself in a hospital bed. Naruto shifted his gaze to the side, taking in the saint. A tour of a man. He was quite old, but he was a friend for all time. He said to the blonde, hello Naruto-kan, as he stood up. Naruto smiled. Hello Gigi, Naruto said, smiling as he looked at Naruto. Sarutobi smiled. I'm sorry for what happened to you. If those damn council members hadn't given me that stupid FA meeting, I would have known, Sarutobi said to him. Naruto sighed, his smile fading. It's not your fault, Digi. You couldn't have known about this and I have no hatred for you, Naruto explained as he sat on the hospital bed. Sarutobi's face brightened. Do you remember any of the people who did this to you? Naruto Sarutobi inquired. Naruto shook his head, his eyes closed because he was too busy screaming as he stood up. Sarutobi sighed. I'll stay here with you tonight so you can rest, Sarutobi told him. Kami only know what would happen to you if I left you alone, as he straightened the covers on his bed. Naruto chuckled and nodded. Gigi, could you do me a favor? Naruto asked. Sarutobi looked at Naruto, perplexed as to what he could want. What is it, Naruto-kan? He inquired of the corpse. Naruto smiled and turned to face his grandfather figure. See, could I train to be a ninja? I want to protect myself from Peo. Ple and those dear to me, Naruto asked. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow but quickly laughed. All right Naruto-kun, I don't see why not. If it will help, which I believe it will, then you can train, he told him. Naruto nodded and smiled. Can you come shopping with me when I leave tomorrow? Naruto asked. Sarutobi no. Deed and looked at him. Sure, but why? He inquired as he looked down at the covers. Naruto chuckled sheepishly. People are unfair to me. They refuse to let me buy from them or overcharge me for ineffective items, Naruto told him. Sarutobi's eyes narrowed as he looked out the window. It's never easy to get rid of hatred, is it? Sarutobi wondered as he turned to face Naruto. Sure, Naruto will go out tomorrow and give you the things you need to grow as a shinobi, Sarutobi said as he lay in his bed. Naruto smiled. Thank you, Gigi. I can't wait to get started, Naruto said as he fell asleep. Sarutobi chuckled as he ran his fingers through Naruto's blonde hair. He is just like his mother and father. I wonder how much he will grow as a shinobi, Sarutobi pondered as he sat down to sleep but kept his senses on high alert in case of any unwelcome visitors. The following morning, Naruto and Sarutobi were released from the hospital as they exited the building. Unbeknownst to either, there was a scowl on the faces of the building's doctors and nurses who couldn't carry out their plans for the demon rat. So Naruto-kan, where do we go? Sarutobi inquired. Naruto grinned as he entered a clothing store. Naruto immediately Awked at the store clerk who scowled. I thought I said you couldn't come in here, demon, get out now before you. What a voice asked. The man turned to the left to see the Hokoge's cold stare on him. Hokage-sama, I didn't mean it, he's always welcome here, the man said quickly as he turned to face the clerk. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes. Well, Naruto will be purchasing some clothes from your lovely establishment, is that not a problem? Harusan asked the man, his brow furrowed. And I better get the right answer. As Sarutobi stood near the door, the man immediately shook his head, saying it wasn't a problem. Pick whatever you want, Naruto-kun said Sarutobi. Naruto walked through the store gleefully inspecting the various clothes. Naruto grinned as he reached for a black shirt with a swirl pattern on the back. He soon noticed a red shirt with the same design and a black swirl on it. As he walked over to the pants, Naruto grabbed another 2 pairs of shirts. The Naruto smiled as he retrieved a pair of standard black Anbu pants. Naruto looked around for some blue jeans and grabbed them as well. Sarutobi's heart lightened as he softly looked at the boy's happiness as he saw the blonde run around the store. A smile. Naruto quickly spotted an orange jumpsuit but shook his head emphatically. No, he was going to be a shinobi, which meant he had to be stealthy and not wear anything that could turn him into a practice target. Boruto quickly examined the shoes before grabbing the standard blue shoes. Naruto SMI led as he brought everything to the counter. I've got everything, GG, Naruto said as he turned to face the cashier. Sarutobi nodded. Ring it up, Sarutobi instructed. For once the man nodded as he priced the items fairly. The total for everything is 5,927 yen, said the man. Naruto nodded and paid the money. Before taking the items as they unloaded, Sarutobi assisted him in carrying the items home. Naruto smiled as he walked away. Sarutobi chuckled as the exercise began to take effect. Naruto and Sarutobi soon came to a halt in front of a shinobi store as they stood in the presence of the Hokage. The person could do nothing to the boy. Naruto skipped through the store inspecting the various weapons. So what do you think I should get, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto inquired. Kyuubi laughed behind the cage as she looked around the shop. Let's see, you should get about 500 kunai along with 350 shuriken some seal tags and a sword. You should also get some smoke bombs, you never know when those come in handy. Also, just for a simple purpose, you should get some storage seals, Kyuubi said with a smile. Naruto nodded and reached for the selected amount of kunai. Naruto then dashed to the shuriken and grabbed the amount Kyuubi had specified. Naruto was overjoyed to finally have a friend like Kyuubi. As he approached the seal tags, Naruto no longer felt lonely. Naruto stole 35 seal tags as well as 45 smoke bombs. Now for a sword, Naruto said, surveying his surroundings. None of the swords drew him in, but he was drawn to one with a black leather sheath. Naruto stared in awe as he unsheathed the blade and examined the gleaming steel that it was forged in. Naruto sheathed the blade as he took it. As he approached the counter, Naruto went to get some storage seals. I've got everything, GG, Naruto said. As the cashier reluctantly rang up the price, Sarutobi nodded. The total cost, sir, is 77,990 yen, the man said with a slight disdain in his voice. Fortunately for him, the Hawkeye game missed it because he was too preoccupied with Naruto's happiness. As Sarutobi raised an eyebrow, Naruto quickly paid for tea. He items. How do you have so much money, Naruto-kan? Sarutobi inquired. Naruto sighed as he gazed at Gigi. I've had to go hungry a few times to save money for myself, but it's not all bad because I can now get the things I want, Naruto told him as he approached Naruto. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes. Naruto-k. Unlift up your shirt, Sarutobi instructed. Naruto nodded and lifted his shirt to show the haka. Sarutobi sighed as he saw Naruto's unfit and unhealthy body. Sarutobi could almost see his bones because he was severely malnourished. Sarutobi stood up, grabbing Naruto's arm. Where are we going, Naruto? Inq. Uired. Sarutobi sighed as he drew Naruto towards him. We're going to get you some healthy food so we can put something in your stomach. I'm not going to stand for this, Sarutobi said as he entered a food market. When they saw their Hokage, everyone bowed. People gasped as Naruto appeared behind him. Senpai. Opal scowled but then stopped his harus and sky spread throughout the building. I think you can find some healthy food in here, Naruto-kun, with no objections from the locals, right? Sarutobi asked, smiling as he walked through the store. Naruto nodded. Sarutobi accompanied him as Naruto went to get some vegetables for his meal. Naruto had the occasional cup of ramen, but he also stocked up on meat, fish, greens and a few drinks. Naruto smiled as he led them to the register and paid for everything. Naruto smiled at Sarutobi as they walked home. Thank you for spending the majority of the day with me, GGN. Naruto said. Sarutobi smiled and nodded but quickly looked up. Naruto-kun, watch out! Sarutobi exclaimed too late as Naruto collided with a woman and fell to the ground. As he opened his eyes, Naruto rubbed his chin as sorry miss, why I didn't mean to run into you. Naruto apologized soon after. The woman I let him think nothing of it, kid, the woman advised. Naruto raised his head and examined the woman. She was covered in red marks on the side of her face. Her hair was much more spiky than his, but it suited her. She was dressed in a navy blue shirt and blue jeans. She was in her late 20s, but she had a great figure. The woman stood up and quickly assisted Naruto in getting to his feet. Hello, my name is Suman Yuzuka, and who are you? She inquired. Naruto blushed and looked up at her. Kind smile. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and it's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Tsume. Naruto introduced himself. Soon raised an eyebrow and smiled. Just call me Soon, kid, I like your attitude, Tsume said as she looked at him. Naruto nodded as he gathered his belongings. Nice meeting you, Soon, and I hope to see you again, Naruto said as he walked away. Soon laughed as Sarutobi approached her. Soon asked, so that's Naruto Uzumaki, ha? Tobi gave a nod. So what do you think? He inquired. Soon assumed a contemplative posture. He's cute, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and if it weren't for these damn civilians he'd be more educated and self-sufficient, Tsume said. Sarutobi gave a nod. He said he's going to be a strong shinobi who protects those who are important to him and knows how to protect himself. Sarutobi told her. Soon chuckled again and rested her hand on her hip. I'm excited to see how much he grows, Soon said to him as he walked away. Sarutobi nodded. Zoom turned around and walked in the opposite direction, a smile on her face. Sarutobi soon caught up to Naruto as the blonde turned to face him. Who is that woman, Gigi? Naruto inquired as he returned his gaze. Sarutobi smiled. Batsuma Nuzuka, the head of the Inuzuka clan. They're a powerful clan of people who use dogs as battle companions, Sarutobi explained. Naruto turned round and smiled. She's cute, Naruto said to himself rather than to Sarutobi, but the old man heard him. Sarutobi exclaimed, then smiled. I'm curious what you're thinking, Sarutobi amused as he walked away with Naruto. Naruto soon heard the voices of his new friends. So Naruto-kan likes older women, which is quite a surprise, though not entirely unexpected, Kyuubi told him. Naruto smiled, blushing. Estes, she's cute, Kyuubi-chan. Naruto thought, why I couldn't see her that way, and you know it. Kyuubi laughed and quickly calmed down. I don't know, said, but I saw you blush and it was a rather intense blush at that. Naruto stuttered to a halt as he approached his apartment. Thank you for walking me home, Gigi, Naruto said. Sarutobi simply nodded and reached for hhis sleeve. Take this, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi instructed, handing him a seal. Naruto fixed his gaze on the seal, then on his. Gigi, that's a security seal stick. It's somewhere in the complex and you'll be safe from break-ins and other unpleasant things, Sarutobi explained. Naruto nodded gratefully as he entered his apartment. Thank you, Gigi, and I will become the best shinobi in Konoha, the Hokage, Naruto said, pumping his fists as he ruffled Naruto's hair. Sarutobi smiled. I'm looking forward to the outcome, Sarutobi said as he walked away. As he closed the door to his room, Naruto smiled. Naruto collapsed exhausted on the floor but with a smile on his face as he slowly drifted off to sleep, grateful for the good day he had. The following morning, Naruto awoke in his bed, taking in the sunlight that had entered his apartment. Naruto smiled as he remembered spending the majority of the day with his Gigi the day before. He also made a new friend. As a result of his difficult life, he had finally found someone who cared about him. Naruto laughed as he recalled Miti. In Kyuubi, he heard everything bad people said about her through him, but she seemed more like a saint than most of Konoha. Naruto's trance was broken when he remembered her promise. Kyuubi-chan, are you awake? Naruto wondered aloud. Kyuubi soon stirred in her cage as her eyes adjusted to the HT of Naruto's tidy apartment. Good morning Naruto-kun, are you ready for your training? Kyuubi asked, a soothing smile on his face. Naruto nodded, though she couldn't see it but she sensed it. Yes Kyuubi-chan, so where do we begin? Naruto inquired. Hyubi smirked as she assumed a contemplative pose. First and foremost you must understand what chakra is, she instructed. Naruto raised an eyebrow in perplexity. Chakra, he asked, perplexed. Kyuubi chuckled, knowing he wouldn't get it right away. That's right kid, chakra is the life energy of all living things. It follows you and is practically a part of your being. For a shinobi, chakra is their best friend. It allows them to perform techniques or justice as people call them. Chakra can be trained into many different things, but first we must raise your chakra reserves. Do you get all of this? Hyubi asked. Naruto smiled and nodded as if he understood what she was saying. So chakra is basically the energy within my body that allows me to perform certain shinobi tasks. Naruto asks simply. Kyuubi chuckled but nodded at the simple explanation. That's right kid, Kyuubi replied in a very simple description of it. At that Naruto nodded and returned to he current issue. So if I understand what I think I understand, then my chakra reserves are most likely how much chakra my body has at the moment, Naruto said, nearly startling Kyuubi the FKIT. That's exactly right. How did you know that? Kyuubi inquired, intrigued. Naruto chuckled sheepishly as he rubbed the back of his neck. I snuck into the library once just to kill time and read a random book which turned out to be about this chakra thing you're telling me about, Naruto replied to her question. Kyuubi accepted the answer while scowling at the prospect of Naruto having to pass through a civil Ian just to read. Huey returned her attention to her student, deciding to disregard the memory for the time being. All right kids, since you already know that, I'm going to skip that part now. By doing physical, natural and spiritual training you will be able to increase your chakra reserves. Most people only focus on the physical and spiritual because the natural is quite difficult to do, but you will be one of the few people in the world who can do it. Now chakra can be put into 5 types of jutsu. Naruto smiled and nodded, pulling out a piece of paper and a pencil. Kyuubi chuckled, knowing he was listening to everything she said. I understand Kyuubi-chan, but I just found out that the Akiya have a Dojutsu in this village. Am I going to have one like that? Naruto asked. Kyuubi nodded and smiled. That's right kid, I can give you a Dojutsu. All I need to do is look at your genetic map and make some changes. Just tell me what you want and I'll add it. Quite said. The thought of having a Dojutsu made Naruto jump up and down in his room. Hyubi chuckled at his happiness but quickly dragged him out of it. Now kid, first we'll train you physically, then put on some clothes and let's get to work. Kyuubi said. Naruto jumped out of bed and dashed to the bathroom to wash his hands. Naruto combed his hair and brushed his teeth. He quickly showered and changed into his new clothes. He was dressed in a black shirt with a red swirl on the back. He also put on his black Anbu pants, his sword and his shoes. Naruto dashed out the door, ignoring the obvious hatred directed at him. Some people were perplexed by his happiness and new outfit but dismissed it as demonic insanity or something. Practice fields. Naruto quickly left the crowd and arrived at one of the training grounds, which appeared to be deserted. Naruto smiled, waiting for Kyuubi's instructions. All right kid, welcome to your training. I will turn you into a shinobi greater than the 4th in greatness, Kyuubi said before returning to her previous conversation. Hey kid, Kyuubi said, piqued his interests. Yes Kyuubi-chan, Naruto asked. I remember telling you that your father sealed me inside you, and I also mentioned the 4th. Did you know that the 4th was your father? Hyubi asked, her voice a little worried for fear of upsetting him. When he responded, she had the opposite reaction. I put 2 and 2 together and found it. Take away the marks and you've got a mini yondaime. It wasn't hard to figure out, but I would have preferred my Gigi to tell me, though I won't be mad at him if he didn't. I am sure he had his reasons, Naruto explained. Kyuubi was taken aback by his big heart and his foresight in the situation. While kid, nice head on your shoulders, Kyuubi said. Naruto blushed at her compliment, but they quickly returned to business. All right kid, we will now begin your training. Your body requires training to survive, so we will begin with some push-ups and sit-ups. After that you will do some laps around the training fields too. Increase your leg strength. After that I want you to go to the library and get a book on Dojutsu and Kenjutsu as well as a book on the introduction to ninjatsu because of your large chakra capacity. Naruto nodded, realizing he didn't have time to waste here. Naruto jumped to the ground and began doing push-ups. Naruto then practiced his sit-ups. After that Naruto ran laps around the training field which was quite large. After finishing his laps Naruto picked up his belongings and ran back to town. Ignoring the people's stares, Naruto snuck to the side of the wall and quickly arrived at the library. Naruto noticed his special spot in the building that he had carved out for himself. Naruto couldn't get in through the main door, so he made another. Naruto entered the library quickly, moving through it with a nice level of stealth. Naruto scanned the shelves for Kenjutsu, Taijutsu and Ninjatsu. Boruto quick Lee obtained the book and made a clean getaway. All right, Kyuubi-chan, what now? Naruto inquired. Hyubi smiled as she made the decision to teach him his first jutsu. All right, kid, to help you get through this faster I am going to teach you your first jutsu because of your large chakra capacity. This is the perfect jutsu for you. It is called the Cage Bunch in Nojutsu. It is an upgrade from the Bunchian technique through the required hand signs that I will send to you and it will be easy, she said. Naruto nodded as his mind recognized the necessary hand sign for his first jutsu as he practiced the hand sign. Naruto did it. Cage Bunch and no jutsu. The Naruto as smoke surrounded them. Naruto and Kyuubi nearly gasped. His 30 clones appeared. Nice job, kid. The benefit of the Cage Bunch and no jutsu is that it can help the user learn things faster. Whatever the clone learns and then dispels, the user will learn as well. It is also a good infiltration jutsu. Now they only do physical things, so the work they do won't come back to you, but the memories will. Kyuubi explained. Naruto turned to face the group and nodded. All right, divide yourselves into 3 groups. Group 1 will read and practice the introduction to ninjatsu book. Group 2 will read and practice the kenjutsu book and Group 3 will read and practice the taijutsu book. Naruto said. All of the clones nodded as they walked to their assigned positions. Naruto spent the next few minutes in meditation trying to feel around for the natural energy Kyuubi had mentioned. I don't understand, Kyuubi-chan, I can't feel anything, Naruto admitted. Kyuubi chuckled and nodded. Yet, kid, you have to be perfectly still, but as a kid that is impossible, so we will wait until you are a bit older for this type of thing, Kyuubi said. After school you will learn chakra control, so head to school while I take a nap, Naruto muttered, lucky, eliciting a small chuckle from Kyuubi. You know it, kid, she said as memories flooded into Naruto. He quickly dispelled his clones. Naruto smiled as he realized how many different things his clones had gone through. Naruto stood in silence for a moment as he reflected on his memories. All right, let's go to the academy, Naruto said as he dashed back to town. Naruto kept running as he reflected on his previous training. Even though it was only his first day, he felt he had learned a lot. Naruto was running when he noticed a familiar face in the park to his left. Naruto smiled as he ran up to the individual and smiled. Hello, Sum-chan, Naruto said. She turned around to see who had the audacity to call her that. Soon quickly smiled as she noticed Naruto's deep blue eyes on her. Oh, hello, Naruto, how are you? Zoom inquired. Naruto gave a nod. I'm doing well, Sum-chan. I've begun training and I'm going to get strong for my precious people and myself, Naruto told her. Soon chuckled at Naruto's tenacity and did something even she was surprised by. Soon knelt and kissed Naruto on the lips, causing the blonde to blush. I'm excited, Oh, see how far you can go, Naruto. Kami knows that if only my son had your training tenacity, Soon said to him. Naruto looked at her perplexed. Who is your son and do I know him? Naruto inquired. Soon laughed once more as she looked at him. Yes, you do. His name is Kiba and Nuzuka and he is also going to the academy. He is a bit stubborn but he is loyal to his friends, Soon said. Naruto smiled and nodded. Zoom-chan, watch me become the strongest shinobi in Konoha. And then Naruto came to a halt as he looked at Soon, raised an eyebrow at Naruto's sudden blush as he looked down. You will what? She inquired, a puzzled expression on her face. Naruto's blush deepened as he tried to control his emotions. And never mind anyway, I have to go now, Naruto said, running away, leaving Tomb in the dark. Soon chuckled as she noticed his blush, which he was trying to hide from her. If he grows up strong enough, even I might fall foe. Arham soon pondered as she continued her stroll through the park academy. Naruto arrived at the academy on time and entered his registered class. Naruto looked around to see the kids talking to each other as most of the boys did. Naruto also noticed the girls fawning over a duck-haired boy brooding in the corner. Naruto sighed as he chose his seat, staying away from the roaring females, particularly a certain pink-haired banshee who had probably never heard of the words quiet or silence. Naruto simply sat in his chair, aware that some people were staring at him. Naruto looked around to see some of the girls drooling over his appearance and some of the guys commenting on how cool his sword and clothes looked. If it hadn't been for a prissy black-haired boy standing in front of his face, Naruto have smirked at the attention. Hey dope, give me that sword, it's useless to a pathetic person like you. The bow. Why, said Naruto's side, not wanting to deal with this right now. Look here, Sasuke, emo wonder of Konoha, I paid for this sword and it is mine. Don't expect anything from me, so sit down, shut up and wait for class to begin, Naruto said. When Sasuke looked at Naruto, he soft. Naruto quickly covered his ears as he heard the screeches of what he assumed was a new species of monkey. Naruto baka, give that sword to Sasuke-kun, you aren't fit to wield such a thing of beauty and strength, Sakura told him. Naruto uncovered his ears after determining that she was finished. First and foremost, Haruno learned the meaning of the word shut up, and second, don't act like you can tell me what to do any more than a mo wonder over there can, so me and my eardrums would appreciate it if you just continued to stare at your delusions of grandeur, Naruto said to her. Sakura Halfton continued to fawn over a brooding Akia as well. Naruto heard Kiwibai crying in her cage. He smiled. I am so proud of you, kid. I have seen how that ass acts and I am so glad that my kid gave him a piece of his mind, Kiwibai said, pretending to cry as the class began to calm down. Naruto chuckled. Oruka and Mizuki soon appeared through the door. Tu was not surprised by Mizuki's narrowed eyes. All right everyone, today we'll be learning about the history of the caves of Konoha, followed by Kunai and Shirai can practice, and finally taijutsu training, Uruka told them as the history of the Hokage was explained. Everyone nodded. Naruto paid attention to the information but struggled to stay awake due to boredom during the slow class period. Naruto could even hear Kyuubi groan as everyone exited the classroom. The bell rang. All of the kids stood outside in the field staring at the practice dummies that had been set up for them. Naruto soon appeared. As he approached a boy wearing a dog on his head. Hey, are you Kiba in Yuzuka? Naruto asked politely. Tiba smiled as he turned around to see the blonde talking to him. Yeah, that's right, I'm Kiba, nice to meet you. Naruto, he inquired. Boruto looked up and nodded. And who is he? Naruto inquired. Tiba laughed as he lifted his dog off his head. This is Akamaru, my dog. Say hello to Akamaru, Kiba said to him as he licked Naruto's cheek. Akamaru barked. Nice to meet you, Akamaru, Naruto said, patting the dog on the head. Kiba and Naruto laughed as they resumed their lesson. Heba was summoned by Iruka to throw his Hurricane and kunai at the dummy. Tiba smirked as he threw the shuriken and kunai with pinpoint accuracy into the points on the dummy while Iruka applauded his progress. Nice job, Kiba. Next up, Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka said. Naruto stood up and turned to face the dummy. Naruto hadn't practiced with his kunai cause he had only received them the day before, so he did the next best thing. Wing it. Alright, here we go, Naruto said, throwing the shuriken and kunai at the dummy. Much to his surprise, the shuriken and kunai landed within the dummy's circles, only slightly off. Naruto smirked, fearful of missing, but he didn't. Iruka and a few of the other kids applauded. Naruto returned to his seat among the students smiling. Tiba smiled as he congratulated Naruto. Naruto acknowledged his gratitude and returned them with gratitude. Taijutsu practice was relatively painful for him because Mizuki handled him much harder than the other students. At the end of the day, Naruto was relieved to be finished with the academy and able to return to training. Naruto was about to flee when Kiba intervened. Hey Naruto, do you want to come over to my house tonight at 9? Tiba inquired. He already considered Naruto to be his new academy friend. Naruto nodded with a smile. Thank you, Kiba. If your family doesn't mind having me, I'd really appreciate it, Naruto said to him. He nodded and dashed home to tell his mother and sister about their business. Naruto smiled as he returned to the training grounds. Hyubai had awoken too. find many Naruto clones reading and practicing the Taijutsu stances in the books as well as ninjutsu hand signs and kinjutsu practice. Hyubi laughed as she heard Naruto run one laps around the lake. Did I miss anything important? She inquired. Naruto smiled as he saw his first friend. I have another fry. Kyuubi-chan, whose name is Kiba in Yuzuka. Naruto told her, though Naruto couldn't see it. Kiba smiled. Good for you, kid. Now I want you to continue this exercise for the next 3 months, and by that time you will be up to speed with your physical training, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded in response to her instructions. Naruto added, oh, and Kiba invited me to dinner tonight. Kyuubi smiled after raising an eyebrow. That's nice. You've made a new friend and now you get to see the woman who makes you blush like crazy, Kyuubi said as a blush spread across his face. Naruto sputtered out, nonsense, that is completely false, Kyuubi-chan. Naruto said, defending what little honor he still had. I don't know, kid, but based on how you acted when you saw her today, I can only speculate, Kyuubi said to him as he surrendered. Naruto's blush deepened once more. The truth was that the woman piqued Naruto's interest, but he wasn't sure if it was romantic because he was still too young. Let's just get this training over with, Naruto stuttered as she wiped a tear from her eyes. Kyuubi laughed. In its cage? Yeah, then we'll go see you go gaga over in Yuzuka's head, Cutie-bai said. Naruto flushed once more. Kkyuubi-cha. End scream Naruto as she laughed in her cage. The following day, as Naruto looked up to see the dark sky across the training field, he completed all of his exercises. As the memories of all their experiences rushed into Naruto, he chuckled and dismissed his clones. Naruto had spent the entire evening working and could only smile at his progress or what he had accomplished. Naruto remembered all of the Taijutsu stances in clones' actions in his head as well as the necessary hand signs for channeling chakra and performing some low-level ninjutsu. Naruto's marked as he studied his kinjutsu book. He was now familiar with the low-level sword techniques as well as the practices for each technique. Am I getting stronger, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto inquired her of the beautiful demon as she sat in the cage. Kyuubi chuckled. You're doing very well, kid, I must say, even though you've only recently begun your Maki in great progress. It's almost obvious that you're the strongest academy student, Kyuubi said. Naruto blushed from the compliment as he prepared to leave for the day. Naruto quickly remembered a particular friend who had invited him to dinner that night. Naruto smiled as he dashed home to wash his hands and change his clothes before meeting his new friend. Compound in Yuzuka. Kiba sat at the table with his mother and sister recounting the events of the day. He told them about his school day and about his new friend Naruto. Uzumaki Sum chuckled as Naruto's name seemed to be popping up everywhere lately, and he totally put that in Moana and his Banshee Sakura in their place. You should have seen him. He had an Inuzuka's ferocity. I'm telling you, just hearing him talk gave me chills, Kiba said to them. Sue and her other child Hana laughed as they imagined the all-powerful Aki had been put to shame by the Saint man standing. If he can talk down to that, he's fine in my book, Hana said, smiling. Soon laughed at her children's antics but quickly got to work on dinner. Theba was soon aware of his invitation to Naruto. Come over for dinner tonight, Kasen? Kiba inquired. Soon raised an eyebrow at Kiba as she took in his words. Kiba looked at his mother with a never-ending smile on his face. Soon turned to Hana, who seemed to be begging to meet Kiba's friend as well. Soon laughed as she prepared to meet Naruto for the second time today. I wonder if Kami is attempting to play with me, Soon pondered as she considered her children's request. All right, when is he coming? Soon inquired. He was jumped with delight when he returned at 9 p.m. tonight, Kiba informed her. Soon nodded, deciding to bring out an extra plate for their visitor. Soon smiled as she thought this night might be interesting. Kiba and Hana smiled as they IPATED seeing the blonde boy. 8 p.m. Naruto quickly returned home and shut the door. Naruto smirked as he checked the time, noticing that he had some time to spare before taking off his training clothes. Naruto quickly put away all of his training equipment while smiling all the way to the bathroom. Well, someone is in a good mood because they went to someone's house, Kyuubi explained. Naruto nodded, not understanding the meaning of the statement. Naruto soon stepped into the bathtub, soaking in the soothing warmth of the water. Can we talk face to face, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto asked. Fuyubi was perp. Lexed by his strange request. Short kid, you don't need to ask, I don't mind you coming to visit, I enjoy your company, Ki replied. Naruto blushed slightly but nodded. He quickly closed his eyes as he focused on his mental landscape. Naruto smiled as he approached his sewer-like mindscape. Naruto's mental Escape. Note to self: fix this damn place later. You by chance shouldn't be in something like this, Naruto reflected as he passed the bars. Naruto quickly approached Kyuubi, blushing as he took in her illustrious form. Kyuubi smiled, relishing the thought that she could easily make him blush with her body. Did you want to talk to me about kits? Kyuubi inquired. Naruto sat down and nodded. Kyuubi followed suit, knelt in a demure manner. How good are my skills right now if you could assess them? Naruto asked. Kyuubi adopted a thinking pose, raising one of her brows. Even though you have only recently begun your training, I would say you have high cage level chakra right now. You have around high gen and chakra control of it from the exercises I had you do this morning and evening. You have gen and level TAGE and Kenjutsu from your experiences with your clones and everything. It appears that it is difficult to find any Jinjutsu books without going too far into the shinobi section. Naruto nodded but soon looked perplexed. What exactly is a nature affinity? Naruto inquired. Kyuubi's expression was a mix of happiness and rage as she looked at him. She laughed at his innocence in the question, but he was furious that no one in the academy had even taught that type of thing yet. All right kid, your nature affinity determines the type of element you have. There are wind, fire, earth, water and lighting affinities. People in Kano Helena towards Katan affinities. Those in Suna lean towards Futon AFF. Inities. You will leans towards Datan affinities. Periods towards Sudan affinities and Kumo leans towards Rapin affinities. Just place your hand on top of mine. Naruto nodded and pressed his left hand against hers. Kyuubi quickly closed her eyes to concentrate. Kyuubi then smiled and opened her eyes. Lucky you kid, you have 3 affinities. You are quite special. You have a foot an affinity, a rate an affinity and a cat an affinity, though that one may be from me. You are quite lucky because I am quite skilled at those 3. I can send you the information for some training in the mall and it won't take you too long to start training in their ninjutsu and manipulation, Kyuubi said. Naruto smirked at the information and hugged Kyuubi in gratitude, completely unaware of the blush that appeared on her face. Thank you Kyuubi-chan, I appreciate it, Naruto said to her. Kyuubi nodded and chuckled at his appreciation. Anytime. Naruto. Kanki said, startling Naruto by using his name. Why you use my name? Naruto, still stunned, asked. Kyuubi blushed as she avoided his gaze. Yeah, I suppose I did. I'll call you that now because I can't keep calling you Kit forever, Ki replied. Naruto smi led as he tightened his grip on Kyuubi. Can we work on my Dojutsu right now, Kyu-chan? Naruto asked. Kyuubi smiled, knowing he wasn't going to keep quiet about it for long. Sure, I can work on it, Kyuubi said, but changing one's genetic map isn't easy, Naruto-kan, so it might be a few years before you can use it. Naruto nodded, indicating that he was content to wait. It doesn't bother me, Kyu-chan, as long as I can have one made by you I'm fine, Naruto explained. Kyuubi blushed again as she smiled at his kind words. Flatterer, Kyuubi thought, smiling. Kyuubi soon recovered from her blush and returned to Naruto. So what kind of ijutsu do you want? She inquired. Naruto paused for a moment before smiling. I wanted a jutsu that can copy any jutsu, Naruto said, hoping that would suffice. Hyuga looked at him as if he lacked imagination. Is all you want the Sharingan? She asked, hoping he would say no as he looked at her. Naruto chuckled. No way, Kyu-chan, it will be similar to but far superior to the Sharingan, Naruto told her. Kyuubi looked at him, wondering what was going on in his head. I wanted a jutsu that will allow me to even copy the blood limits of others, Naruto explained. When I look at people my minded jutsu, I want to be able to adapt to their stances and also have their eyes. My eyes will look at theirs and change my body or my eyes to one that suits the dojutsu that the other person has. Kyuubi seemed to notice as she hoped he was actually challenging her. So you wanted a jutsu allows you to not only copy the blood limits into jutsu of others but also to mimic their movements as you see them, Kyuubi concluded. Naruto smiled and nodded as he looked at Kyuubi. Yeah, but I still want to be able to copy in ninjutsu and jinjutsu like the Sharingan, Naruto said with a smile. Over unlike Sasuke team unless it's an enemy I will ask permission from the person I copy or not if they piss me off. When she heard his declarations, Kyuubi laughed. Kiwibai stood up and cracked her hands. Alright, a challenge, I can do that for you, however due to the complexity of it you may have to wait a few years for it, but I can assure you that when it's done you will be quite happy with it, she asked. Naruto smiled as he struck a contemplative pose. Can I call it the Shinseng dragon because it can copy anything? Naruto asked. Kyuubi smirked and had to admit that the name sounded good coming from him. Nice name Naruto-kun, I'll start right away while you go to dinner, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded and rose to his feet. I'll see you later, Q-chan, Naruto said. Kyuubi waved goodbye as Naruto walked away. Kyuubi soon smiled as she took a deep breath. All right, time to get to work, Kyuubi sighed. Walking deeper into the seal until she vanished. Bathroom. Naruto was quickly jolted out of his reverie when he wondered how long he had been in the tub. Naruto decided to scrub himself a little more and quickly got out of the tub, washing his hair and the rest of his body. Naruto quickly restyled his hair into a spiky style and checked the time. He only had about 25 minutes before he had to leave for dinner at the Inuzuka compound. Naruto chuckled as he rubbed the towel over his body to dry himself. Naruto quickly went to his closet and pulled out some blue jeans and a navy blue shirt as he put on his shoes. Naruto smirked. Okay, everything is fine, I guess I can arrive early, Naruto thought to himself as he walked out the door. Naruto decided to be safe by jumping across the rooftops to avoid the crowds, which was a good thing. He noticed some people carrying torches and sharp objects as they approached his apartment. Naruto wasn't concerned because the seal his Gigi gave him would protect the apartment from the villagers' short fuse. Ignoring that, Naruto proceeded to the Inuzuka compound as Kiba had instructed him on how to locate it and what it looked like. Compounding Yuzuka, Naruto was able to approach the door without drawing attention to himself as he looked around for anyone who might be hostile to him. Naruto knocked on the door, exhaling a sigh of relief as he stood at the door. Naruto smiled. He heard someone yell for a minute as they approached the door slowly. The person who opened the door looked down to see the blonde standing there. Why hello, Naruto soon said. Naruto nodded with a smile. Halotsum-chan, Kiba said I could come over for dinner. Is that okay? Naruto inquired. Soon grinned, pleased that he wanted to confirm it with her before entering. That's right, Naruto, Tiba told me, and you are more than welcome to come in for dinner. The food is already made and we weren't even waiting long for you, only about 4 minutes, Soon said to him as he entered the compound. Naruto smiled and nodded. Naruto removed his shoes as he walked across the wooden floor of the Inuzuka residence. Naruto too look around, seeing pictures of Sume, Kiba and another girl. Naruto looked around the house until he heard someone running down the stairs. Naruto turned to see a swarm of dogs charging at him. Naruto smirked as he scratched one of the dogs on the ears, the dog seeming to enjoy himself. The dog had blah hair that made it look wolf-like despite the fact that it was from the Inuzuka clan. Soon nearly exclaimed as the dog whose ears Naruto was scratching was one of the most obstinate females in the Inuzuka clan. For some reason she wouldn't let anyone near her, and yet here was Naruto scratching her ears as if it were just another day at the compound. As Naruto leaned up, Soon smiled. The female dog soon licked his face as he chuckled at the attention. She's a sweetheart, Naruto said Tetsum as she looked at Naruto. Soon couldn't believe what she was hearing. Naruto, do you realize what you just did? Zoom inquired. Naruto shook his head in fear, wondering if he had done something wrong. He just tamed one of our most obstinate female dogs. She hasn't let anyone touch her except me. You just scratched her ears and now look at her, Soon said, pointing to her. Naruto smiled as he noticed her leaning her body against his right leg as he rubbed her back. Naruto smiled. I don't see any issue with her, Soon-chan, she's very cute, Naruto said to her. Soon chuckled as the dog yipped in response to his compliment. What is her name? Naruto inquired. Soon sighed and shrugged her shoulders. Every time someone tried to name she only growled as a sign that she hated the name, so no one named her. Soom explained. Soom's face brightened as she looked at Naruto. Why don't you give it a shot, she suggested. Naruto looked at her stunned. Are you sure? I mean, am I allowed? Naruto inquired. Soon gave a nod. I don't see why not. You've seen Clearly surpassed most of the clan as she's already taken a liking to you, Soon said with a smile. Naruto nodded, looking down at her. He smiled as she seemed to be waiting for the cute blonde in front of her to say her name. Naruto quickly knelt and rubbed her head. I think Kasumi is a nice name. Naruto too. Her Soon looked down as the dog yipped, seemingly accepting the name. Soon laughed as she walked around Naruto, her body pressed up against his. I think she likes that name as well. Kasumi has Soon speculated. Kasumi accepts the name Naruto has given her. Suman. Naruto laughed as Soon led Naruto into the K. Ichin. Naruto walked in and saw Kiba and another girl at the table. Naruto looked down and saw Akamaru standing next to Kiba and 3 other dogs standing next to Hana. As he sat next to Kiba, Naruto smiled. Hey Naruto, how are you? Kiba inquired as he sat at the table. Naruto smiled and fine Kiba, I got a lot of training in today, Naruto said. Kiba smiled as Naruto turned to face the girl across the table. Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Who are you? Naruto asked, his voice polite. Hana smiled, taking in his features. Hello Naruto, my name is Hana and Yuzuka. Kiba told me about today and I personally want to Hana said as she walked over to him and sobbed on his shoulders. Thank you for putting that egotistical Aki in his place. The stupid villagers inflating his pride doesn't help either, so I just have to say thank you, Hana said to him as he heard her words. Naruto blushed slightly, all in a daze. Hana-chan, I am more than happy to do it, Naruto said to her. However, I can tell he is going to try something else that will make me want to put him in his place again. Hana smiled as she returned to her seat and nodded. Soon entered the room. As soon as she saw her children smiling, they seemed to like him so far, and he seems to be quite the mood maker. Soon thought to herself as she served the food. Kasumi entered the room as Kiba and Hana looked at her as she knelt near Naruto's feet. Kasumi smiled. Heba and Hana turned to face their mother, their mouths agape at Naruto. Soon nodded as he noticed Air stares. Yeah, it got me too, I couldn't believe it, Soom admitted to them. Both turned to see Naruto scratching her ears and patting her head. Hana remembered trying once, but Kasumi growled at her. Even Kiba was having trouble with her, but Naruto was acting as if he had known her his entire life. Why? Naruto, you accomplished something no other in Yuzuka clan member could, Hana said to him. Naruto blushed and said thank you as everyone was given their food. Kiba nodded in agreement with his sister. All right everyone, let's eat, Soon said as they ate the food Soom had prepared for them. Everyone nodded. Soon prepared steak, white rice and vegetables. Everyone enjoyed the meal while talking about mundane matters. Everyone enjoyed Naruto's company and had a good time. Naruto told them about his hobbies and interests. He also told them about his hopes and dreams. Chiba and Hana both enjoyed his company. Throughout the meal, Naruto even told Kiba and Hana about Kianbai in the attack on Konoha, as well as how she was sealed in him. With Soom's permission, he made the decision to put his trust in someone other than Kyuubi and Saruto. By Heba and Hana were taken aback by the news. Both couldn't hate Naruto for his life or the burden he was born with. They were sympathetic to him. Soon grumbled constantly about how the villagers treated him his entire life. So Kyuubi's attack on Konoha wasn't intentional, but she was controlled, Fauna asked as he finished telling them everything. Naruto nodded. Wow Naruto, I can't imagine such a life. I feel for you man, but I will be your friend and anyone who says otherwise will meet my fist. Kiba smiled. Naruto chuckled as he received a nod from Hana and Suma and a thank you from Kiba. If anything, I can't accept how this place treated you. They're trampling all over Yondame's Shish simply because they can't see past their hatred makes me sick, Soon said, drawing nods from the other three. It's not so bad. I got to meet Soom-chan, Kiba and Hana-chan as well as Kasumi-chan, Naruto said as he was whacked on the leg by Kasumi's tail, indicating how happy she was. Soon blushed slightly. Why at his gratitude for simply meeting them. Hana like Kiba smiled at his declaration. You are welcome to come here whenever you want, Naruto Soon said. Naruto smiled as he assisted them in washing the dishes. Soon smiled as she assessed his qualities and characteristics. The boy is kind and strong. He has a clear goal in mind and he looks out for others. He doesn't take things for granted and he appreciates people just being there for him. He is quite the young man. I really want to see what the future holds for him, Soon thought as she found herself smiling a lot more with Naruto around all of the dish. were soon washed and everyone enjoyed a light dessert. Naruto had a good time with the Inuzukas and soon got up to leave. Well, it's time for me to go, Kiba. I'll see you at the academy tomorrow, Naruto said. Heba smiled as he noticed Naruto standing up. All right, Naruto, Kiba said. See you tomorrow as Naruto turned around. Hana said her goodbyes but soon stopped him. You should train with us sometime, Naruto soon suggested. Naruto chuckled and nodded as he prepared to leave but was stopped by a tug on his pants. Naruto turned to see Kasumi whimper as he walked away. Naruto knelt and scratched her ears, a sad expression on her face. I promised to come tomorrow, Kasumi-chan, Naruto said. Kasumi growled lowly as her ears were scratched. Soon Hana and Kiba, unbeknownst to him, were watching the action and smiling. Soon turned to face her children and smiled as they both nodded. Soon chuckled as she announced her presence to Naruto. You know, Naruto and Yuzuka law states that a dog belongs to the person who names it, so because Kasumi likes you and you named her, you are rightfully her owner and companion, Sum explained. Naruto was taken aback by her words and looked up. Really, Naruto asked. Soon smiled and nodded. That's right, Naruto. Kasumi is yours. Grow up with her to be a good person and companion, and I hope to see you two together soon, told him. Kazu smiled as she wrapped her arms around Naruto's legs. Naruto laughed as he hugged Kasumi. Soon grinned at the sight. Just let me know if you need any help. Her never handle it alone if you don't now, Sum said as she handed him the list. Naruto eagerly accepted the note and began reading down the list. Naruto gave a nod. Thank you, Sum-chan. I promise to look after Kasumi-chan. By Kiba. By Hana-chan. See you tomorrow, Naruto said as he and Kasumi turned to walk away. Tiba and Hana said their goodbyes and farewell. Sum-chan, Naruto said. Sum chuckled, slightly blushing at his constant affectionate way of saying her name. Goodbye, Naruto-kun, Soon said, not realizing what she was saying. Naruto nodded, picking up Kasumi and putting her in his shirt. Kasumi's head slowly poked out from beneath his shirt, a smile on his face. Naruto waved goodbye as he climbed to the roof and returned to his apartment, a big smile on his face for the enjoyable night he had together with Sum. Kiba and Hana soon turned around and shut the door to the house. Soon chuckled, remembering their night with Naruto. As everyone made their way upstairs to bed, Kiba moved his gaze to Sum and Hana. His great company, isn't he? Kiba asked. Both girls nodded as he led Akamaru upstairs. Fauna smiled at her mother as she looked her in the eyes. Kozan, I think I heard you say Naruto-kan in your go. Odbye, did I hear that right? Fauna asked. Her mother soon blushed and stammered in response to her daughter's accusation. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Hana, Sum said, attempting to refute the accusation. Hana smiled, knowing that her hearing would never fail her. So why is your face red, Kasen Han? Inquired. Hana laughed as Soon growled slightly at her daughter. Shouldn't you be going to bed now, Hana? Sue masked her final trump card in play. Hana laughed at her mother's embarrassed expression but nodded. All right, Kasen, good night and have a good night, Hana said as she dashed upstairs. Soon stuttered once more as she was left on the stairwell. She's never going to let me forget this, Soon thought as a smile appeared on her face. You are a mystery, Naruto. Kun Soon smiled as she walked upstairs to get ready for bed. 3 years later, Naruto had grown accustomed to the training TQB had subjected him to as he began to show signs of maturation. Naruto had learned how to control his chakra while mastering tree climbing and water walking. Naruto perfected the cage bunch in technique by fully utilizing its features. Naruto was a little more muscular with no signs of baby fat on his body. Hugubei taught Naruto everything she knew about the elements of Katham, Raven and Futon. In addition to making the jutsu, Naruto had mastered all three thanks to the cage bunch. In jutsu, Naruto could now manipulate elements after learning Gen into high tune in level justice involving E3 affinities. Naruto also learned a little from the Inuzuka clan while training with Kasumi. Kasumi was revealed to be half-wolf and the daughter of Kuramaru. Boruto always trained with Kasumi and they had mastered the Inuzuka clan's basic stances. Naruto and Kiba hung out like brothers, always having fun and training together. Hana liked Naruto because he seemed to encourage more family unions. Soon for one enjoyed Naruto's company. He was always a quick learner who never complained about the training she provided. Soon could only laugh as Naruto held a special place in her heart, though it's Soon's struggled to admit it to herself. Naruto had also grown closer to Kyuubi, giving her a quick kiss in appreciation for her efforts in training him. Hyuubi was flattered by Naruto's company as she discovered she had grown to adore the blonde. Naruto's studies improved as well as he was now second only to Sasuke, but only because he wanted to be. He didn't want to argue with Sasuke about trivial matters like ranks. Overall, Naruto was maturing as an academy student. He still had to deal with people in their harsh treatment, but he seemed to be handling it better. Naruto awoke to the sight of his room and smi led as he looked up at his chest and saw Kasumi sleeping soundly on his stomach. Naruto laughed and closed his eyes. Are you there, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto inquired. Kyuubi smiled as she exited the house Naruto had built for her. Naruto had renovated his mindscape to accommodate Kyuubi's needs, creating a small house for her as well as a beautiful field of flowers. Naruto also kept her company by having multiple kids play with her. Hyuubi was ecstatic about the gift Naruto had given her. Kyuubi made her presence known with a smile. I'm here, Naruto-kan, just enjoying the bed you made me. These silk sheets are incredible, Kyuubi explained. Naruto stood up, chuckling and nodding. Kasumi awoke soon after because she liked her blonde's face. Naruto chuckled at the affection but quickly stood up and let Kasumi sit on the floor. Naruto quickly knelt as Kasumi crept up to his head and curled into his hair. Naruto laughed and went to wash his hands. Naruto entered the bathroom, took a quick shower and brushed his teeth before exiting. So Kyuubi-chan, how far are we in the training? Naruto inquired. Hyuubi chuckled as she rubbed a small fox's coat in a contemplative pose. Your kinjutsu skill is around the high tuning level and your chakra control is slow, John, and now your taijutsu is haichunin. Jinjutsu is still pretty low, but with me here you will be fine for now. As for your training with the Inuzuka clan, I would say that you are high gen and low tunin. You know the starters for their justice and stances for right. Naruto smiled and nodded. Naruto quickly put on his black swirl shirt and black andu pants. Naruto slung his sword across his back. As Naruto and Kasumi left the apartment, he decided to take a few shuriken and kunai for practice. How's the dojutsu coming? Naruto inquired. Kyuubi chuckled at question but responded truthfully, it's coming along quite well. I've completed half of the process, trust me. Trying to make an eye that can copy anything it sees is frustrating, but it's a very fun challenge. The only thing I can't change is how you receive it, Kyuubi said. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Bias to the intense glares he was receiving from Kyuubi. What exactly do you mean, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto inquired. Hyuubi sighed and straightened up on the bed. All the jutsu are activated by either stress or a life or death situation, so you'll have to have a situation like that to unlock this eyesore. Why, Naruto-kun? Kyuubi explained as he ran towards the academy. Naruto simply shrugged. There's no getting around it, Kyuubi-chan. I don't mind, I've had too many life or death situations already. What's one more? Naruto said to her. Kyuubi realized the joke but didn't laugh because she cared too much about him to consider such a scenario. Naruto noticed she became quiet and panicked. While sorry, Kyuubi-chan, I promise to be careful. I would never do that to you. Naruto apologized quickly, though Naruto couldn't see it. Kyuubi smiled and nodded. Okay, Naruto-kun, I don't want to lose you, so be careful. See you. Kyuubi advised as he approached the academy grounds. Naruto nodded. And now is the time when I train my concentration to stay awake, Naruto explained. His Kyuubi laughed. Naruto laughed as he walked into the classroom. Naruto was met with glares ranging from jealousy to hatred and strangely lust. Naruto sighed as he noticed only one genuine smile among the students when he looked at his best friend. Hey Kiba, how are you? Naruto inquired as Akamaru and Kasumi barked hellos. Kiba smirked. Naruto smiled as he sat next to Kiba. Are you still up for training at my house later? Naruto Heba inquired. Naruto smi led as Kasumi leapt into his lap and curled into a ball, closing her eyes. I still can't believe my eyes when I see that you got the most stubborn female in the clan. That is still quite a feat, Naruto, but I am happy for you, Kiba said. Naruto chuckled sheepishly and thanked her. Azuruka and Mizuki entered The class quickly calmed down. Naruto didn't notice Mizuki's glare as he sighed. The day was going to be long. Council chamber. While Naruto and Kiba were at the academy, Sarutobi and Sun were at a council meeting which both knew was about Naruto. Sun had told Sarutobi about Naruto's dinner and conversation with her family. Sarutobi was surprised that Naruto could communicate with, but he was even more surprised when he learned that Kyuubi's attack was not intentional on her part. Sarutobi discovered that she had been duped into attacking the village. Sarutobi received the confirmation from Naruto while they were conversing. Sarutobi was relieved by the news, but he decided not to tell the council about it. They obviously wouldn't believe it and would believe that the demon had taken over Naruto. As they entered the room, Sum agreed to keep the secret with him. Sum and Sarutobi sat in their seats. The entire council soon filed in. There were two parts, civilian and Shinobi. Soon after, Sarutobi's old teammates Kaharu and Hamira arrived. As Sarutobi decided to get the headache out of the way, everyone sat down. All right, the council has convened now. What are everyone's concerns today? Sarutobi sighed, knowing what was about to happen. A member of the civilian council soon stood up. We've come to express our concerns about a certain boy in the village. A merchant told him. Sarutobi said once more as he approached the civilian side of the council. He knew they were talking about Naruto because they mentioned his name. So what's the problem? Perusan inquired as they stood. Someone smirked. I'd like to know why we're keeping that thing in our village. He's obviously going to be the end of us if we don't do something, the mother of a pink monkey said as she looked at him. Soon turned her head, clearly uninterested in the conversation, and muttered something about excessive screaming and bloodlines. That thing has a name, Sukuna, and I suggest that you say his name or else I will assume that you are hostile in your speech, Sarutobi said, causing her to flee. Sukuna sighed and sat down, but someone else rose. What Miss Haruno means is that we should take precautions to ensure that Naruto Uzumaki does not use the demon's power to exact his revenge on us, another man explained. Sun chuckled slightly as she drew some attention to herself. Sun murmured to herself, unaware that everyone else was listening. Perhaps if you didn't try to beat him within an inch of his life nearly every day, you wouldn't have anything to fight luck with. Soon thought to herself, but everyone heard her. Some council members smirked but nodded in response to her statement. Hey, the boy is at fault here. I don't know about you, but that damn demon brat killed my family, the man said to her. Soon growled as she unleashed some kai on the man, making him shiver. Okami, shut up. If there's a demon here, it's you damn people, along with a large majority of the village, for beating on a little boy who did nothing to you at all. Soon yelled, her growling growing louder as someone the council soft. Everyone gasped at her. He's a demon. How do you know you're not being corrupted by its power right now? Yelled Sukuna. Soon's eyes narrowed as she unconsciously became more feral. I know because I have talked to him, spent time with him, and invited him to my house for dinner. He is the sweetest boy I know. The fact that he doesn't even hate you people shows how kind and forgiving he is. If he is a demon, then either demons are exaggerated by humans or there are nice demons. In any case, I won't stand for you arrogant, selfish, disgusting, insulting nar. As everyone took in the last word of her speech, everyone including Sarutobi gasped, Shikaku, Shibai and Hayashi all gasped when Sun said the word Naruto. Come to everyone. Sarutobi smiled and nodded, drawing everyone's attention to himself. What Su says is correct. You who don't know Naruto don't have the right to say what he is and isn't, so if that's all there is to this meeting. Wait a minute, yelled Sukuna as everyone turned to look at her. Sarutobi sighed. Sukuna turned to face Sun, pointing her finger at her. It is more than obvious that he is playing you. No demon is kind and nice. You may be willing to risk the safety of your children, but I am not. I say we banish him, Sukuna said. The civilian council members smirked, but the Shinobi side narrowed their eyes. Shikaku, Shibai and Hayashi had no ill will toward Naruto because they were always partial in their dealings. Choose Assume and Inoichi had the most sympathy for Naruto. They thought his life was unfair. Soon stood up and cracked her knuckles. Everyone on the civilian side was unaware of the insane amount of kai in the air. So sorry, Toby, and the shinobi part of the council sweated. Sume laughed as she gazed at Sukuna. I dare you to try it and see what the hell I won't do to your ass. Haruno, you seem to be forgetting your place in this council. You have no real power here. All you do is advise the Hokage in his job. You don't make decisions, you don't change laws, and you sure as hell don't decide who stays in this village and who doesn't, Sune said as she sat back down. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when the problem did not worsen. Sukuna reluctantly obeyed while keeping her trap closed. Sarutobi mentally smiled as he coughed, attracting everyone's attention. Zoom as Kore court in every way. This meeting was clearly a waste of time. This meeting is now adjourned, Sarutobi said flatly, leaving no room for debate. Everyone left before the clan leaders. As everyone walked up to Sume, the clan heads left as well. You were quite fierce in there, you know what, she observed. Sune huffed. Because she didn't want to talk. Come on Sune, what's the matter with you? Hi, is she inquired. Sune, like everyone else, came to a halt. I just hate them for dismissing him because of something beyond his control. It makes me wonder who the true demons are, Sune said to them as she walked back to the campo. For some much-needed rest. Everyone followed her lead as they returned to their respective compounds to rest after a long day. 5 hours later, Naruto and Kiba, as both boys exited the academy grounds, school was over. Both looked around to see Sasuke surrounded by a swarm of girls, all of whom had arts in their eyes. I'm not sure which is worse, the girls or the prick they worshipped, Kiba said to him. Naruto chuckled and nodded as that was a difficult decision for both of them. Both boys walked through the streets ignoring the glares that appeared to be stronger than usual. Well Naruto, Kiba said, let's hurry up and get to my house so we can train. Naruto nodded as both of them bolted for the compound in Yuzuka. Sune slept on the couch to calm down after dealing with the obnoxious council members. Sune didn't seem to mind, but what I know what she said to her dead Sune, contrary to popular belly. Was quite calm and rational. Her yell caught me off guard. Sune blushed because she had never yelled at anyone before, but the thought of people insulting Naruto pushed her over the edge because she wasn't going to let that happen. Sune had no idea why she had been so protective of Naruto. Maybe it was his interest, or maybe it was the way he smiled at her. She wasn't sure, she just knew she cared deeply about Naruto. I'm not sure why I yelled like that, I never really did, but I hate the way they treat him, Sune said as she shifted her weight onto the couch. As soon as the door opened, Sune fell asleep. Naruto and Kiba walked through the door, followed by Akamaru and Kasumi. Naruto turned to see Sume fast asleep on the couch. Naruto laughed briefly before stopping when he noticed the frown on her sleeping face. Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly as he saw that after his training he planned to find out what had happened to her. Naruto pushed the thought aside when he noticed Hana reading in the kitchen. Hello Hana-chan, Naruto said. What are you reading? Pan Anna smiled as she looked up to see the blonde boy behind her. I was just reading some literature, Naruto-kan, Hana explained, smiling. Naruto smiled as he and Kiba went to a training ground and practiced what they had learned from Sume. Hana smiled at their interaction and decided to watch them both while reading. Hana noticed her mother sleeping and smirked as she stood up. Hana noticed her mother's frown as she walked over to her. Hana smiled. To put her theory to the test, Hana knelt on her knees and whispered something into her mother's ear. Naruto-kun, Hana addressed her. As Sune went through her dream, the frown on her face vanished and was replaced by a smile. Hana exclaimed in surprise but quickly smiled. Note to self: Kassen might have a thing for Naruto. Hana jotted down as she saved the thought for later. Hana sat on the floor as she watched Naruto, Kiba, Akamaru and Kasumi spar. Naruto seemed to fit right in with the Inuzukas as no one had any problems with him. He was a better Inuzuka than the majority of the other members. Pana smiled, wishing Naruto could be a part of her family. Naruto-kun, if you could move Kassen this way, I wonder what would happen if. Hana pondered as the thought crossed her mind. Hana smiled, wondering if she should even go along with the plans she devised that afternoon. Naruto and Kiba smirked as they finished training and sat quietly at the table to eat. Sume woke quickly as she noticed Hana reading her book. Hana, did anything happen while I was sleeping? Sume inquired. Sune was taken aback when Hana shook her head with a smile. Sune decided to let it go and got up to take a bath. However, Yuto-kan is here, Hana explained. Soon paused for a fraction of a second before continuing to walk with a slight smile on her face. Soon observed Naruto and Kiba eating while studying his new features. She had seen Naruto so frequently that she had failed to notice the changes in his body. He appeared to be a little more ripped and his hair grew more spiky, but not as spiky as hers. He exuded strength, power and self-assurance. Soon blushed as she made the decision to take a bath. Soon quickly went upstairs after Ruto and Kiba finished their meal. Do you mind if I use your shower, Kiba? Naruto inquired. Naruto quickly went upstairs and Kiba nodded. Naruto quickly approached the bathroom and slid open the door. As Naruto entered, time slowed as he assumed the form of a naked Zoom. Naruto blushed as his gaze swept over her entire body. Soon, as far as Naruto could tell, was a completely hot woman. As she saw the sight, Naruto heard Kiwibai roll around in her bed. Unbeknownst to Naruto, his body was displaying strong feelings for the woman. His Soon looked down to see his member reacting to her. Soon raised an eyebrow as she examined his package. Soon could only think of one word: huge. Soon thought as Naruto's mind became overburdened. Soon smiled as Naruto collapsed. Soon quickly grabbed a towel and wrapped it around her body. Soon noticed the small trickle of blood coming from Naruto's nose. Soon smiled as she took Naruto in her arms and carried him to her room. Soon left, leaving him on the bed. Soon quickly returned to the bathroom to wash her hands. Soon could only smile as Naruto's reaction to her flattery pleased her. 25 minutes later, Naruto groaned as he awoke to the side of a room he had never seen before. Naruto scanned the room looking for the door. Naruto stood up as he remembered the incident had come to mind. Naruto blushed because he had witnessed something that very few men ever see. I hope she doesn't kill me, Naruto mused. Soon after, a visitor arrived and made its presence known. Awa, Naruto-kun, if you want to see a woman naked, just ask me, Kyuubi said. Naruto blushed. His visions of an Aked and playful cute Yubi assaulted him. Yubi-chan, I am not like that. I mean I do like Yubi, but I Naruto stammered, which only added to Kyuubi's amusement. Well, I know what to expect when you reach the appropriate age, Kugubi said. Naruto pushed the image of what she was saying down until it was completely gone. Hero Kyuubi, Naruto exclaimed, and Kyuubi laughed. Owa, you don't like my teasing, Naru-kan, which is a shame, Kyuubi said as she cut the mental link with a smile. Naruto was left alone with his thoughts. As soon as the door to the room opened, Naruto stood up. Naruto turned to see Su standing there in her regular clothes smiling. Did you enjoy the view, she inquired. Naruto blushed but kept his gaze fixed on the ground. Soon chuckled as she approached him. Don't be too concerned, Naruto-kan, the first can tell it was an accident. You wouldn't peep on purpose, would you, she asked. Soon's opinio of Naruto increased as he shook his head despite the fact that it was already high. Naruto quickly returned to the subject of his conversation with her. Will you talk with me, Soon-chan? Naruto asked. Soon raised an eyebrow in perplexity but nodded as the two made their way to the bed. Both sat down as Naruto rehearsed his lines. What made you sad, Naruto inquired. Soon looked at him slightly surprised as if he had read her mind. Why would I be sad, she wondered. Naruto sighed and looked down at the ground. I watched you sleep for a while and you were sleeping with a frown on your face. I wanted to know what was wrong. All Naruto said to her. Soon saw him in a new light after discovering that he could read emotions, even hidden ones. Soon sighed, placing her hands on her lap. We had a council meeting about you today and people said stupid things about you that irritated me. I defended you as best I could. The whole meeting was just a headache, Soon told him. Soon told Naruto about the entire meeting and Naruto nodded. Naruto narrowed his eyes knowing that the civilian council did not like him, rather hated him. When Naruto learned that Soon had defended him against the pink monkey's mother, he listened calmly and even smiled. Soon finished her story and tried unsuccessfully to gauge Naruto's reaction. Naruto surprised Soon by crashing into her body with a hug. After a minute, Soon rubbed Naruto's hair with a smile. Thank you, Soon-chan, I am very grateful, Naruto said to her. Soon nodded, a smile on her face. As she looked at Naruto, who was deep in thought. Titsum-chan, Naruto addressed her. Soon responded by looking at him. Yes, Naruto-kan, Soon inquired as he looked at her. Naruto blushed but steeled his resolve. Some-chan, I believe I'll like you a lot and I might even love you, Naruto confessed to her. Soon's eyes widened briefly before settling on Naruto. I know I'm too young for you, Naruto said, but I promise that when I make tune-in I'll confess again and then I'd like you to go out with me. Soon pondered his confession because it had touched her heart. Soon smiled as she reflected on Naruto's qualities over the years. He had far more good qualities than bad and he was very cute to her. Soon laughed as she turned to face Naruto. Soon smiled as she slammed her lips into Naruto's and kissed him deeply. Naruto was startled by the action but quickly recovered as he kissed her back. Soon smiled as they both leaned back after the kiss. That kisses our promise, Naruto-kun. Become a tune-in and I'll be all yours. Of course if we date you'll need to be up on a few things, but get to tune-in, I'll be waiting soon, said as she stood up to leave. Soon closed the door with a slight sway in her hips. Naruto went over tea. He kisses. He seemed overjoyed with the promise they made. As he left the room, Naruto hardened his resolve. Naruto quickly came downstairs grabbing his belongings. Heba took notice and waved goodbye to Naruto. I'll see you later, Naruto, Kiba said as Kasumi perched on Naruto's head. He waved goodbye to Kiba and Hana. Naruto quickly ran away as both of them wondered what was up with his good mood. Hana returned her attention to Sume, who was still smiling. Did anything good happen, Kosam? Tana inquired. Soon shrugged her shoulders and laughed. Perhaps, but I'm not sure, Soon replied. Hana raised an eyebrow. Curious about what had happened to Naruto, Hana chose to ignore it as she, Sume and Kiba went upstairs to sleep. This was a good day after all, Soon thought as she went upstairs to bed smiling. So this was it for today. I will continue the story next part. Till then we weave offline for and music.